Okay, I'm live on YouTube. I'm just going to connect up with TikTok now. Okay. Just waiting for my TikTok people. My big audience is on TikTok. For now, I'm hoping to get better on YouTube. I'm just learning. Just learning. I watch YouTube all the time. I just don't know how to get numbers on there. Hi, Riley. Okay, while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from and what are the ages of your children. So where are you from and what are the ages of your children? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada, and my kids are 33 and 28. And I got a grandchild on the way, a little girl. So where are you from and what are the ages of your kids? I'm just setting up I like to have my notes thing ready because I get ideas for videos when I'm doing the lives. Oklahoma, 3 months, 4 and 5. Okay, so that's good because you've got a 4 and a 5-year-old, which is usually easier than having a toddler and a new baby, right? You would have done that already. That's probably why you spaced it out. Okay, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Like, I'm not doing that again. Let's wait till the youngest one's few years old. Okay, I'm just guessing. I don't know why you did that, but it is definitely very challenging having a toddler and a newborn because they're both so physical and they don't understand. Wait a minute. Hold on. They just don't. Okay, so where are you from and what are the ages of your kids? I'm tired. That's why I scratch my head when I'm tired, like a little kid does. Like, you scratch your ears and that. 4-year-old boy, always clapping. Oh, we'll get into the questions in a minute. I'm just waiting for people to turn up. I usually wait till I get about 100 people in here. It takes about a minute usually. And Calgary, 13 months and a baby due in February. Oh, you're going to be very busy. But a lot of parents say that they like doing it that way. They get it all over with in one go. But yeah, you're going to be very busy. Is there an ideal age gap? No, I've never found it. I've worked with tons of, mine was 5 years. My brother and I are like 16 years. You don't grow up together when there's that big of an age gap. I grew up with 3 adults in the house, so it was hard to give them both attention. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is my biggest, I wouldn't say challenge. Yeah, I use that word often, but it's my biggest frustration in coaching is when I'm talking to a new mom with a brand new baby and she's also got a toddler and she's going crazy. How hard can I really push that mother to do things that I'm going to recommend? I have to hold back because she's tired. So, and there's only so much you can do, right? Okay, so I'm just asking people where you're from and what are the ages of your kids. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. My kids are 33 and 28. And I got a granddaughter on the way. This is a side note, but I'm going through a lot right now. I'm trying to, I quit Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi, whichever one. And caffeine withdrawal usually lasts for a few days. And then I'm just day 5 today. I'm not doing well. I'm really struggling. And anyway, mostly lethargy. And it can take 14 to 30 days to withdraw from aspartame. I was drinking gallons of the stuff. It's horrible. But anyway, so yeah, I'm a little bit dopey. I can just feel it. I'm just not as with it. Not that I'm always with it, but I'm without it now. Okay. Okay, well, let's just get going now. If you go into my link above there, you'll see everything I've got to offer. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. You're on that behavior board too. That's what makes it work. You got to give respect to get it. It's not a one-way street. That's the old-fashioned authority style parenting. It definitely is a one-way street. It was you respect me because I'm your parent. Not a bad way to parent compared to what's out there now. It's that please your parent style. Oh, it's just tanking. It's tanking everywhere. It's a nightmare. That's why teachers are quitting right, left, and center. The behavior is just awful with kids these days. No respect for adults or anybody. You should hear what teachers tell me. A lot of my clients are teachers. Not that they struggle with parenting and teaching are 2 different things. You can have some of the stuff is crossover, but a lot of it isn't. But They're learners. That's why I get so many teachers as clients, because they like to learn. But yeah, you should hear the stuff they say about when, especially the ones who've been teaching for years. They say the behavior of the kids has just gone downhill. And then when the kids act out, there's nothing they can do anymore. And the worse the kid, the more defensive the parent is. So they can't even talk to the parent. The parent blames the schools, or if you look at the kid the wrong way, they threaten to take you to court. I mean, it's just a nightmare out there right now. Okay, I'm not a pleaser parent, but I'm struggling on being a calm leader because I'm always stressed. Yeah, well, I don't know how old your kids and what you're going through, so I can't really give you much advice other than this works. I had a client yesterday. She's doing so well. Some clients just get it. Like they just, I don't know. She always kind of just got it. And she did whatever I said, she did it. And now she's just doing beautifully. And she said, yeah, I was just a believer. I just did it. And I always had faith that it would work. And now it is. So you just got to dive in, like just have faith that this stuff works. I'm very confident in what I teach. I've been working with kids for 51 years now, and I've never worked with a kid I couldn't get their respect from. So I'm very good at connecting with kids and bonding with them, and then they want to please me. Or teenagers just don't, delinquent teenagers just didn't want to disappoint me. So that's the leadership stuff I learned. I didn't know what I was doing. It took me years to figure out, why is this working? I didn't know how to explain it, but that's why I teach it now. I know how to explain it. So yeah, just commit to it. If you want to learn how to calm down and de-stress with parenting, work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach. I have a full course teaching you how to do that, or you can hire me. That's that next level. Or you can just get my free behavior board. Sorry, my back's bugging me. My 5-year-old will ask a question, and if he gets a no, he consistently asks over and over again with please. So let them ask. I don't care how many times they ask. I said, no, I won't be discussing it any further. And then I'm just oblivious to whatever they say after that. Yeah, obviously it works. They only do what works. Obviously, nagging you works. You give in. So that's the only reason a 5-year-old would do that. By the age of 4 and up, they only do what works. So it's a tell. It means you give in eventually. It means that works. Nagging and nagging and nagging works. So yeah. Get that figured out now because he's still really little, so you don't want him to be controlling you like that. Impulse control problems and ADHD need so much help. I never worked with a kid I don't think that wasn't an alphabet kid. All the kids I worked with had ADHD, ADD, WXYZ, ASD, whatever. I worked with all those kids, and all these methods work on those kids beautifully because they're very organized, they're very calming, and they're about leadership, and they're about bringing out the best in kids, making them like themselves. It works with all kids. It works with adults too. It's just showing respect to people, right? That's all it is. You're not leading adults, though. That's the difference. But I mean, the showing respect works with everybody. If you make people feel good, no one wants to be impressed. My mom used to say this. Both my parents had charisma, but just a natural kind of charisma. My mom was very funny and warm. My dad was very shy and a giggler, and he was just really cute. And they had charisma. But my mom used to say, because she was so popular, all my friends loved her. Everyone loved my mom. And but she used to say, sweetie, no one wants to be impressed. They just want to have fun. So no one wants to hear about all the stuff you have and see your beautiful home. That's nice for 5 minutes. But after that, can you be fun? Can you be informative? They want to have fun. People want to have fun. That's what kids are like. They don't want you telling them what to do all the time. They don't want you nagging them. They don't want you impressing them. They want to have fun. They want to connect with you. Yeah. Must be a continuation here. Just a sec. I think I saw you say something earlier. Oh, I can't go back. I'm getting dizzy. I get vertigo. Anyways, Tasha Lynn. I usually will holler no, and he knows I mean business, but I don't want that to be what it takes. Yeah. People yell because it works, but it works short term. Long term, it backfires big time. And you already know that. So I never repeat myself. I say something once and then I take action. So yeah, I would never repeat myself ever. But I'm always ready to take action if I need to. So if I think a kid's not going to listen to me, I'm almost ready to go over there. Like I say, Don't do that again. And if they do it again, I'm in there in a shot. Or I want you to move that over there, or I want you to, and if they don't do it, I'm over there and I'm saying, we're doing this now. So yeah, I'm always ready to take action. I only say something once. Okay. Is it normal for my almost 3-year-old to start pushing my limits, especially lately? Yeah. 3-year-olds, that's when my behavior board starts at the age of 3, because that's the age they can start to reason. They can think before they act. That is the age where they go, oh, wait a minute, you're not a leader. I think I'll take over. That's when they figure that out. So they don't do that if you're a leader. There's no difference. They're just sort of really respectful. At the age of 3, it gets easier. If it gets worse at the age of 3, it means you're not a leader. And they figured it out. They just went, I know what I'll do. So yeah, that's what's happening. Work on your leadership skills. I've got a whole course on that. If you're interested, it's up in the link. I don't know what that meant. How do you start a behavior board if your kid doesn't know how to read? Yeah, no one ever asked me that. It's funny. No one ever asked me that. Isn't that interesting? I guess, well, in coaching, I always say use pictures. You use drawings and you explain it to them. They can even help with the drawing. They draw something, then you tape it up onto the board. Don't have them draw on the board. It gets too messy. So yeah, just have pictures up there and keep it simple. The behavior board's simple. You should see some of the stuff parents do. Is this good? And it's like, I can't even follow it. Like, it's so complicated. Keep it simple. And keep reminding them of it. Have it in a high traffic area. There's the behavior board. Remember, we're on that too. Mommy and daddy, you need to be disciplined too. Make it like a family law. Lots of people call it family law. Or they'll, like, my last name's Bunnage. They call it Bunnage law, Jones law, whatever. With teenagers, we usually call it an accountability chart rather than a behavior board. And lots of my clients take it to work and use it with their staff too. And they have fun with it. They put crazy stuff on there. And anyway. No, I already answered that one. You don't, okay, I just did a video on that. It's a really good one. If my 5-year-old asks for something and I say no, he will ask please more. I already addressed that. But then you said, I think you asked again, because I already answered that. And then, because I don't remember you saying this, how would I get him to stop after once? You never try and stop kids from, like, you never try and stop attitude. That's attitude. That's disrespectful. That's cheeky. So I would never address that. It's a tell. It means you're not a leader. It means he doesn't respect you. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents here. Work on your leadership skills. And they wouldn't, like, if I'd said no to my kids and they'd said, please, I would have gone, what? They would have gone, oop, never mind. Like, they just wouldn't have done that. It would never have happened, ever. Because I just would have gone, what? Like, yeah. So work on your leadership skills. That's a tell. It means you're not a leader. They don't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. They will respect you. And that would not happen. They just wouldn't. I don't remember my kids ever doing that. Like, if I'd said, no, we're not going to do that right now. And if they had come back with, please, I would, what? I said, what? Like, I wouldn't even have known what to say to that. And they would have laughed at that point. Never mind. Just thought I'd try it out. It's like the time that both my kids did this. They'd been at a friend's house. My son was 5, and he'd been at a friend's house. And he came home, and he would have heard this at the friend's house. And I guess there was some big reward for this at this friend's house. And he said to me when he came home later that day, he said, I'm bored, in that snotty tone. He'd never spoken to me like that before. And I instantly turned around and smiled, and he went, uh-oh. I said, oh, is my precious little angel bored? Come with mommy. Mommy will fix that. I don't like you to be bored. He's like that. He's, no, never mind, never mind. So I took him in the laundry room, filled up a mop bucket, and gave him a mop. He was never bored again. 5 years later, the exact same thing happened with my daughter. My son was 5 at this point, or 10, and she was 5. And she'd been at a friend's house, would have heard a friend say this, I'm bored. And that same snotty tone that I'd never heard before, exact same thing. My son started laughing right away. He must have remembered it. Trying to quietly handle it and ignore it. What are you trying to quietly handle? How do you handle grandparents getting emotional during a tantrum while you're trying? Yeah, that's a tricky one. Just say, "Can you please leave the room?" Actually, one of my clients, I think it was yesterday, she said that she just said to her parents, who get all upset when she's doing the right thing and getting respect, and they get all upset because they want to give the kids candies or whatever. I don't know, just so here you go, And she just said, "You can just leave the room. I know it's hard on you, but I'm the parent here, so you can just leave the room. And if it upsets you, take charge." And the funny thing is, as I'm pretty sure she said this too. She goes, no one fights her on it now because they're seeing such great results. I think at first, when you're not getting great results, people tend to want to interfere. But once you start getting that leadership cemented, the kids are happier. And the funny thing is that when you're that leader, she goes, all of a sudden, her kids are coming to her more than anybody else. And when someone else tries to give them something, the kids are saying, check with mommy first. So they love that. They love having a leader. It makes them feel safe. Children are drawn to a leader. It's not about being the tough one. It's about being the leader. And the leader is often the more fun one, too, the one the kids go to. And there only needs to be one leader in a house. My 16-month-old can't walk. Doctor said wait till 18 months. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not a doctor. But I did know my daughter didn't walk till 14 months. My son was 12 months on his 12-month birthday, his first birthday. On his 12th birthday, 12 months. He took his very first steps on his birthday. No one saw it but me. It was out in a veranda. I was with a bunch of other moms at the play group. And oh my God, he walked. We were all at the kids the exact same age. Anyway, so yeah, but I know someone who didn't walk till they were 3. And then they got up and just walked. And they didn't walk or talk till they were 3. Then she just got up and walked perfectly and talked full sentences. Just was a very calm person. Wasn't in any rush. Was just watching the world around her. No rush. So yeah, and I'm not saying that's normal. I don't know, but it's not unheard of. Where do I find your leadership skills? I have a full course up there in the link above, and then, or you can hire me, but everything I've got to offer is up there. I'm on here every day, but I only have 2 scheduled lives answering questions, scheduled ones. And then the rest, I never know when I'm going to turn up. So I have tons of videos. Right now I'm doing 3 videos a day. I did my very favorite video I did, and I didn't get huge views. I think it should have. It was one of the best videos I've ever done. It was, I just did it Saturday, and it was called, "The More You Talk About Bad Behavior, the More They're Going to Do It." I think that's one of the best videos I've ever done. And I sort of elaborated on that just today, and I did one called Focus on the Good Kid. It's the exact same message. You always want to focus on the good kid. You deal with bad behavior, quick, get it over with, deal with it. Yeah, that was rotten. Here's your consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? Just get that over with. The discipline is quick, and then focus on the good kid. What you focus on grows. Where you put your energy grows. If you're focusing on the bad behavior all the time, it becomes their identity. So be very careful with that. I've worked with hundreds of kids, and I was very good at dealing with bad behavior, but it was fast. And then I was right back to focusing on the good kid. I didn't go on about it at all. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11, and the daycare workers asked me how I got respect with the kids. They said, boy, those kids are so good for you, and they want to be around you all the time. I didn't know how to answer that, but I was very good at bringing out the best in kids. They liked themselves when they were with me, and they wanted to please me. But I didn't ignore bad behavior. I never have, ever. Okay. Do I let my kids finish their game if their time limit is up? Me and the, I don't know what that's short for. What's that short for? Aren't agreeing on it. I know that's short for something and I should know what it is. I just don't know it. Anyway, okay, so this is a really good point, but you're kind of handling the screen time. I don't do it like that. I did how to manage screen time. I did a video on that yesterday. And I said the best way to manage screen time is to have, like, let's say they're 10 years old and they've got 10 hours a week. I don't know how many, but just as an example. But then they manage when they do it, okay? But you're talking about screen time. You have an hour a day. You're sort of micromanaging that. I don't do that. It's okay. It's not bad. But yeah, I would never interrupt a game. I would say, okay, you finish this game. You're going to go long, but tomorrow you're going to go short, okay? So that's how I would do that. So if you want an hour a day, I would shorten it the next day because you let them go long that day. I would never expect a kid to stop in the middle of the game. I think that's kind of mean. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Do you answer questions about adult children? I only go up to about the age of 25 years old, and they have to be living with you and somewhat financially dependent upon you. Those are my 2 rules. But I do coach adult kids. And I've got a lot of advice for adults too. And it comes out in coaching, but that's not what I do. That's not what you're paying for. Like, cause I don't lead with, it's not my joy. My joy is kids. Um, that's my joy. I don't know how to explain that better. Um, Adult relationships don't bring me as much joy as dealing with child parent relationships or teenager. Teenagers are my favorite age. That's what brings me joy because they're still forming. Um, Adult relationships, yeah. I deal with them a lot because in coaching, a lot of parents are fighting. I've had parents spend virtually the whole session fighting right in front of me. They're just fighting the whole time. And I say, every so often I'll jump in. You're wasting your money. I'm sitting right here. You hired me. You're wasting your money. I'll let it go on for a while just to, but yeah. So I deal with that quite often. I got 3 teens and a toddler. Help. Yeah, 3 teenagers. Toddlers are my least favorite age. Cute as a button. They're all feet, no brains, though. They're just constant worrying. You have to constantly, don't walk off that cliff. Don't walk into that wall. Constant physical. I have a very bad back, so it was hard for me. Teenagers are my favorite age. Hmm. 19-year-old thinking he runs the house. He works, pays his way, but attitude and disrespect. Yeah, that's tough. There's no guarantees with that. If you want to hire me, that would be minimum 5 sessions. And it's tough. I can't tell you what I do, but it's very, very tough. You won't like the first week that we usually do weekly sessions for an hour. You won't like what I tell you either in the first week. No one ever does with teenagers because you have to give, 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 give. Not stuff, but you have to give a lot before you ever expect to get anything back with teenagers. Yeah, well, he's an adult. I have a toddler that screams piercingly loud as a way of being defiant. Any tips? No, not really. They're going to get over it. Just don't react to it. You might do this, but I mean, don't show that it upsets you. Just walk away. But then also when they are quiet and when they're good, then reward that with, oh, do you want to read a book or something? But as soon as they scream, that book would go down. I would instantly, because toddlers are all about consistent corrective actions. They're not about words. They're not about the mini therapy sessions, which are so trendy right now. I know why they were invented. Those mini therapy sessions discussing all the big feelings and all this crap with a toddler, it's garbage. That was invented to feed the mom, to make the mom feel good about herself. It has nothing to do with the toddler. Zilch, nothing. It's all for the mom, serving the mother. So yeah, toddlers are about consistent corrective actions. They learn through repetition. They're not about words. That's not their language. It's just invented for the mom. When I saw that style coming in 30 years ago, and oh my God, where are we headed? We're going to raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Here we are. You've helped me a lot before. Excellent. That's why I do this. I love these lives. I just love them. My coaching is my favorite thing to do because that's like real direct satisfaction, like when people are getting results. 22-month-old always eats. Is she bored? I have no idea and I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't really comment on that. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, but also, like, is she bored? 22-month-old always eating. Okay, I'm not a nutritionist. Should I say anything? I'll just tell you what I did with my kids. When they were young and I had total control over what they ate. When they're teenagers, they were out with their friends. I didn't care. Have at it. Do whatever you want. They're going to go through stages. Anyway, I only had healthy food in the house. I'm kind of a health food nut anyway. So I only had healthy food in the house. I find that the children who overeat that I saw, it was mostly stuff that wasn't good for them. A lot of salt and sugar kind of stuff, and when they were little, especially, they only had healthy food. So they don't tend to want to overeat apples. You know what I'm saying? Broccoli wasn't something they could have more. I mean, you see, so because I didn't have any junk food in the house, I don't know. That was just the way I chose to do it. You asked about speech therapist. Yeah, I don't know about any of that. I'll tell you, thoughts on oppositional defiance, ODD, oppositional defiance disorder? It's it just means you got a feisty kid. But they're the quickest ones for me to turn around and get respect from. The more defiant they are, the more they need leadership. It's just the way it is. They're desperately craving it. The more difficult and challenging and oppositional and defiant a child is, the quicker I could get their respect. Because when they come up against a calm leader, it's like they almost go, "Oh, finally, thank God." They're relieved. They all need, crave, and want leadership, especially the defiant ones. They're screaming for it. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach here is leadership skills. It's mostly about connecting. We deal with some bad behavior, but that's a tiny part of it. Most of it is about connecting with kids. And when you're connecting with them, you connect in their world, never in your world. You don't connect with a 3-year-old at the nail salon. You go to the hill, you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. So it's all about connecting in their world. And your leadership skills go up and up and up when you connect with kids. Like I was the babysitter who didn't watch TV. I played with the kids all night. That's why they were so good for me, because I was connecting with them. Good ways to discipline kids under 3. Under 3 is a toddler, and it's consistent corrective actions. So if they throw a toy, you say no, you take that toy, put it away. It's just, it has to be right in the moment though. You can't say, remember earlier you threw that toy, it's none of that. It's right in the moment, consistent corrective actions. No, and you put it away. And they get that. The bigger the scene, the bigger the lesson. Don't worry about the scene. The scene is their process in accepting the fact that you know how to take control. It's their way of processing. I can't get what I want, when I want, and how I want it all the time. And that's okay. You want them to learn how to process that. You don't want to interrupt that. That's why talking to a child during a tantrum, what's this trendy thing now? Trying to self-regulate their feelings, all that garbage. Anyway, that's interrupting their process. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. Anyway. Do you believe in boarding school? Is it helpful? I can't comment on that because I don't know the situation. So, yeah, I can't comment on that. I would have to assess the situation before I would say, yeah, that might be a good option. It's very rare. It's extremely rare. See, I teach leadership. I don't teach farm your kids out to someone else. So it would be extremely rare for me to recommend that. Do you know the only times I ever have is when they're in an area where it's a teenager and they're highly influenced by the surroundings. Then I would suggest get them away from the area. But yeah, it's extremely rare. Maybe it comes up once every 5 years in my business that I would recommend that. It's that rare because you're farming them out. How to outgrow entitled snowflake. Yeah, this trendy style, I call it the pleaser parent style. You're trying to make everything easy for your kids. You want them to have participation awards, and they just turn up and they get an award. I've even heard of parents having a hissy fit because their kid didn't get a participation award because they were sick that day and they didn't even turn up, but they still wanted them to get, like, how nuts are these parents, right? Anyway, I don't know where this came from, but yeah, you can turn everything around. Just start by being a leader and you can turn it all around. But yeah, I always say that this pleaser style that's so trendy right now is raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. You're not doing your kids any favor. And they're never going to respect you because they just walk all over you. It's like you're begging them, please. It's just, there's no parenting in it. There's no leadership in it. How to correct your son when he acts out when we're out to eat. You're the exact same parent when you're home as when you're out. So if they act out when you're at home, that you can work on it there. If they're out to eat and they're acting up, I would not put other diners through that. I would just say, can we get it all to go? We're going to go home. You sort of do the training at home. So like I would never have said to my kids, we're going out and you be on your best behavior. Their best behavior was all the time. Like, why would they have different personalities? So you're the exact same parent. But yeah, I would just pack it up and go home. I wouldn't put other diners through that. I think it's horrible. So to put other people through that. I remember we used to walk into like really fancy restaurants at night with our kids and people would go, oh my God, but our kids just sat there. I'd already fed them and I brought them something to color and they'd already had all the exercise. And but yeah, they just sat there quietly because I met all their needs before we went out. but that's not the time when you want to train them. You train them at home. My kids sat and ate politely at home too, so they were no different. You don't expect to have different kids when you go out, different personalities. My 13-year-old daughter and I were going well. Connecting and behavior was good. What do you mean was? What's going on? She is now rude and a victim. Oh, victim frame mind. Okay, something would have happened outside of the home then. So if you want my help, you'd have to hire me for that. I'd have to assess that. And there are ways to get that information out of them. No, we're not strapping them down and dripping wax on their forehead or anything. What are your thoughts on timeout? Oh, you must be brand new here. God, I hate timeout. I think it's humiliating and mean. Yeah, I hate it. You go over there. You're not even worth talking to, you scum, you scuzz. Go sit in the corner. I just hate it. This is awful. Can you imagine if you made a mistake at work and your boss said, go sit in the corner? Kids feel the exact same way. They can't articulate it, but they feel humiliated, ashamed, shame. How is that making them feel good? You want kids to feel good about themselves, not bad. Timeout is just damaging. I hate it. Okay, well, someone's preaching on here. I think you're in the wrong place. Well, I don't quite understand what you're talking about here. Kids who tell other kids what to do but doesn't do it themselves. I don't know what you're talking about there. Okay, so you've got twin 3-year-olds. I get a lot of multiples in coaching because there's a lot of problems with them. Do you know why twins often have very different personalities? Like one's easygoing, one's feisty, because when one takes over one personality trait, the other one just says, okay, you can have that one. It's like they're trying to find their differences. They're trying to find their individuality. That's why they tend to, some twins go the same way. It's rare though. Usually they're really different because they do it on purpose. It's how they sort of differentiate themselves from their twin. So it's quite common. Anyway, so one's really after the other one. Anyway, they're 3 years old. You can use my behavior board. And you put the rule is no biting or hurting other people or something like that. No biting or hurting other people. Also, I have a mini course on that if you're interested. It's up in the link above. It's toddlers who bite or something. I always say a toddler's under 3, but the course goes to 3-year-olds too, the way I've written it out. Anyway, so just put down no biting. And then there's you only deal with one thing at a time. So if he steals his toys and everything, you don't deal with that first. Deal with the biting one, because you always want to address aggression first. If kids are aggressive, that's always the first thing that goes on that behavior board. So say no biting or hurting other people, something like that. And then if they do, then they have to give their favorite toy to the twin for a half hour to play with or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, check it out. It's in the behavior board's in the link above. It explains it all. Oh, ODD. God, you're going to hate my answer. Someone asked about ODD. A lot of my clients have been pediatricians and child psychologists, and they said ODD is not a medical diagnosis. They said it was just an acronym invented to make moms feel better about themselves. They said it's not a real thing. It just means your kids are feisty, and it just means they don't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. This is what I think these acronyms are dangerous for, is that they give parents a reason to excuse their kids' bad behavior rather than blame themselves. That's what that was invented for. So it makes the mom, and they said it was invented to make moms feel better about themselves, but it's taking the blame off of you and saying, well, I can't help it, he's got ODD. No, it's not. I've worked with really difficult kids. You can always still get respect from them. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents here. You're a leader, you lead, they will follow. It's just the way it is. You think I ever worked with an easy kid? No one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. They always said, good luck with this one. Those are the kids they always handed to me, and the teenagers they handed to me, the difficult ones. And they always had, I used to call them alphabet kids. They always had all these acronyms. Oh, this one's got ADHD, WXYZ. I never opened one file. With these troubled teens I was mentoring, they came with files that big. And I never opened one of them. I dealt with the person, not the diagnosis. And but my goal was always to make them like themselves, make them feel better about themselves. And then if you're the source of that, they want to please you, right? They want to be good. They want to be better people for you and then for themselves. But anyway, so yeah, don't get caught up in these diagnoses. They don't mean anything. Not to me. Not the way I talk about kids. Yeah. but don't use that as an excuse. When I was working with kids, and if they ever acted out, and it was just becoming a problem, something would be going on with a teenager usually. And I always thought, what am I doing wrong? What am I missing here? I saw these kids an hour a week and I still blame myself. So, I took the leadership role. I was the mentor, the leader. So if they acted out, it's my fault. I saw them for 1 hour a week. So parents, think about that. You take full responsibility for how your kids act. And it's like 100% of their behaviors on you. It just is. Their basic nature and their basic personality, they're born with. But what they say and what they do, their behavior, their actions, that's all a direct result of parenting. 100%, or maybe 99.99999%. 12-year-old always jealous when friends make other friends, then becomes the mean girl. Why could this be? I don't know what's going on there, the dynamics. I don't know how you talk to her about that. So it's your how you discuss that with her. Yeah. So if you want my help, we'd have to talk about that. And it's all about how you talk to her about that. I don't want to go on about that, but I kind of know where I'd go with that. But I don't want to go on about it because it's one of those methods that, if not fully explained, it can be used in a negative way. It's how you talk to her about that. Well, if you've got a bossy kid, he's telling other kids what to do. I would say that's fine to tell them what to do, but give them a demonstration first. So I'd make them do it first and say, there you go. Now you've seen him do it. He knows everything. I would have fun with that one. I like that kind of stuff. Can you explain how your services work? Well, I've got courses. They're self-explanatory up there in the link. And then my coaching, you'd have to go in the link there. I should update that. It's so old. But I had short hair. You can tell it's old. But it hasn't changed. It's one-on-one coaching. It's all done on Zoom. And it's usually 1 hour per week. What I like to do is, by the third, if you've hired me for more than 3 sessions, like for the 5-session package, I usually try and cut those last 2 in half. So you get 4 half-hour sessions instead of, depends on how things are going. So if things are going well, I like to drag it out so that you get more time, so, but yeah, it's just one-on-one. And parents rarely hold back, but every so often I'll get a parent at the end of that first session, and I can tell. I'll say, you're not telling me something. And they'll say, yeah, I was too embarrassed. And then they'll tell me something, and I'm like, that should have been the first thing you said. They kind of wasted the whole hour. So just spill your guts. I've heard it all. I'm here to help you. I'm not judge. Why would I judge? That's stupid. I don't judge people. I'm like, laugh it off. Yeah, you messed up. You should see what I do in life. We all mess up stuff. Life's messy, right? So yeah, don't hold back. It doesn't happen that often anymore. I think because I'm older now. I'm in my 60s. When I was in my 40s, I think it was a little bit more awkward, I think, because now I'm like everyone's mother. I'm older than all my clients now. But I was often younger than my clients, especially because I specialized in troubled teens. So I was like in my my 40s, and then a lot of my clients were in their 50s and 60s. So it was more awkward, whereas now it's just different. It's good. Do you offer after school hours? What do you mean offer after school hours? You mean with coaching? My coaching's all done on Zoom, and it's weekends, nights. I have to work around parents' schedules. Your advice is so authentic in a way. I love it. As a parent, you're very much an inspiration. I appreciate that. Someone said to me, it was quite a while ago, and they said, they can't, like I used to do, I used to do a lot of live TV. And someone who was also a coach, they said to me, how do you, I need time to think before I talk. And I said, well, I would never do that. I would never think before I talk. If I had to stop and think about what I'm going to say, it's very rare. Especially when you're doing live TV, you can't do that. You have to just, it all comes out. But they said that they would never give any advice without stopping and really thinking about it. And I thought, yeah, I don't do that. I guess because I worked with kids for so many decades before I even did this, that I kind of already knew what I was going to say. But also when I'm filming videos, I never, ever think about what I'm going to say. I just hit record and blah, it just comes out. So, yeah, I've just been doing this for so long now. But yeah, I don't tend to think before I say anything. I have no filter. I'm a decent person, so it's not a problem. Like, it's not like I'm evil hiding all this stuff. Yeah, I don't have a filter. So I don't think about what I'm going to say. Probably should sometimes, but it's just everyone's got faults. Mine is that I don't have a filter. Well, it's one of my faults. I got lots of them. That's just one of them. Okay. I've had to do the mom and dad role for so many years. I was a single mom. Do I need to be a leader all the time? Yeah. Well, okay. It gets a little bit complicated, but I was best friends with my kids. I was the goofy, fun mom. I was the crazy one. I still am. I'm the craziest one in the family. I'm just goofy. And I was great. I never had to discipline because I was a leader. So it was just known. Mom was the leader. I'll give you a good example of that just to explain this. I was 99.9% of the time, I was just fun, goofy best friend with my kids. But the odd time, especially if they were poking each other or something, what I used to do is I used to be the panty monster. And whenever I did laundry, I'd put all the panties on my head and the leg holes were my eye holes. And I'd say, oh, the panty monster is getting dressed. You better. And the kids would be running and screaming, laughing because I'd chase them around the house as the panty monster. But if they had ever acted out, I would have said, excuse me. And those panties would have come right off my head. I would have been leader like that. They always knew that mom was number one role, but I didn't have to play that card very often because I was always the leader. They always knew I was the leader, and it was just the way it was. So, but you never have to use it. Like, I never had to use it. It was so rare that they ever did anything. But yeah. So yeah, you're always the leader first, the parent first. But because if you're a good leader, you never have to discipline. They're self-disciplined. They're just, why would they make bad choices when they know mom knows how to take care of business? Oh, that was dumb. Okay, you're going to have to mop the floor now, or you're going to be doing the laundry. Yeah, okay, whatever, So it was no big deal. Also, I say it like it is. Like, if my kids did something stupid, I would say, well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age. Like, there's no shame in making mistakes. There's no shame in not being perfect, but you got to be accountable for it, right? It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. I didn't put up with any disrespect. I didn't get disrespect, but sometimes they'd forget to do something or whatever. But there's no shame in not being perfect. I never shamed my kids. So I just say, yeah, that was stupid. Okay, what are you going to do about it now? Okay. How about I just give you a makeover, Mom? I love getting makeovers. So that would be like a punishment. They'd have to brush my hair for 5 minutes. I've never had anyone in my life who likes brushing hair, and it's like my favorite thing is to have my hair brushed. I should just hire someone to brush my hair. And I hate I don't go to hair salons or anything. Like, I haven't been probably in 10, 15 years. Cut my own hair. Okay. I'm the fun mom, but if they were naughty, I did yell. Yeah. So you yelled instead of just being the leader. So work on your leadership skills. You only yelled because you didn't know what else to do. All my clients yell. That's what we work on. It's the first thing we work on. So yeah, you just didn't know what else to do. So work on your leadership skills, then you will not need to yell anymore. That's the whole point behind this, is you don't want to be yelling, but everyone does. I never did. My mom never did. That's why I'm teaching this. But yeah, all my clients yell. It's very rare that I get a client who doesn't yell. What if your kid is just okay with any punishment no matter what? They just find a way to enjoy it. Well, that's fine. It's still doing a good deed, right? This comes up a lot in coaching. They say, well, my kids love doing the dishes. They love helping with laundry. And I'm saying, yeah, they're still doing a good deed. So it's okay if they like it. Not always. It depends on what I'm working with. Sometimes I say, I want to find something that hurts. I don't mean physically or emotionally, but something that they really don't want to do. But sometimes I just say, that's fine. They're still doing a good deed. They did something bad. Now they're going to replace it with doing something good, even if they enjoy it. If it's not something they regularly do, it's fine. Sometimes they pretend to enjoy it just to spite you. See, I'm having fun anyway. See, I love cleaning the windows. So, yeah, that happens. What was it? Oh, God. I was laughing out loud with this client. Oh, no, I know what it was. We're just talking about, it comes up quite often, is with teenagers. Usually the first rule that we start with teenagers is dirty clothes in the hamper, nowhere else. So that's their rule on the behavior board. And it's a simple one. We start there just to, we're teaching the parents how to do this, right? So it's not about the kids, it's about the parents. So anyway, so the rule is dirty clothes go in the hamper, nowhere else. That means they can't lay the dirty clothes on the floor and then put them away later. They have to go right in the hamper because that way they could be sitting around all day on the floor. So anyway, but this is what teenagers do often, and I warn parents about this because it happens so often, is they won't put the dirty clothes in the hamper, but they won't put them anywhere else, but they'll hold them all day. They'll carry them around with them. One kid even took them to school. It's filthy, dirty clothes. And he took them to school and held them all day. Then at the dinner table, he's eating them and holding them. And while he's eating, he's still holding these filthy clothes. He hasn't put them down anywhere. They haven't gone in the hamper either. So parents say, well, what should I do about that? And I say, I would go, well played. Well, like, I respect that. I think that's funny. So you can have fun with this stuff too. I think that's funny. And it's a really good way to break the ice with a teenager when you're at war. But that's happened more often than you would imagine, is these kids carry this dirty laundry around, especially the boys, especially stinky like gym wear. I won't get into great detail, but one boy was a wrestler, and I won't tell you what he did, but anyway. So coaching can be a lot of fun. Separation anxiety is generally, it's very common, and it's usually a temporary thing with toddlers. So you just do the real, I call it the dump and run. Yeah, it's like pulling off a Band-Aid when you leave, and you always leave with on a positive, and you do it quick. You just say a quick goodbye. Love you, and I'll see you later. We'll go and get something. We'll go and get ice cream. So you leave on that pause. It gives them something to get excited about when you're coming back. And usually whoever you're dropping them off with is used to that, especially if it's daycare. They see this all the time. So it's usually harder on you than it is on them. My kids, I dealt with that in the gym daycare. I went to the gym every day when they were little, and they went in the daycare there at the gym. And I remember I used to teach aerobics, and there was this one gym I used to teach at, and I remember carting my little girl around. She was still a baby, so she was just in her little pram. In Australia, it's called a pram, in her stroller. And I could see the daycare there was a window there, and I was up on stage so she could see me. And this was all, she was the sweetest little thing. She never cried or tantrumed or anything. She was so sweet. This is all I saw for the whole hour I'm teaching was this. Just sitting there with this big, and they were all laughing at her. Like they said she never even cried. She just had this big frown on her face. God, she was funny. But anyway, so yeah, they got used to that in gym daycare, but it never stopped me from dropping them off because I thought that was good for them. Yeah, I couldn't concentrate during that class though, because I was laughing. It was so funny. Face the wall for punishment. Is that okay? I hate that. That's like timeout. I hate it. I think it's humiliating. I wouldn't do it. Absolutely wouldn't do it. Think about it this way. If you made a mistake at work and your boss said to face the wall, how would you feel? Your kids feel the same way. I would never do that to a kid. Is your course for babysitters? No way. No way. I teach parenting. The reason is that I teach very specifically parenting, and I can't tell you how to manage other people's kids. What if they didn't like it? That's why I only teach parenting or the guardian, whoever's got legal guardianship over kids. I did a lot of babysitting. I was the babysitter in demand because I never watched TV. I played with the kids and I got great behavior out of them. So if people had really difficult kids, they used to wait in line to get me to, because I was just constantly booked up. Yeah, I did a lot of babysitting. And then I started working at McDonald's, and I was, I think, 16 or probably 15 when you can first get a job, like a real job. So I went up there, and that was the year, it would have been if I was 15, it would have been 1975. But I think I had a car, so it would have been 1976 when I was 16. Anyway, and that was the year that birthday parties and drive-throughs, this is totally off subject, but it's just so funny. Birthday parties and drive-throughs were invented while I was working there. And I remember thinking, oh, that'll never work. Who's going to want to drive to pick up their food, like drive in? Was I dumb or what? Obviously, I'm not a psychic or a predictor. I also predicted Elton John, Crocodile Rock. I think that was his very first hit song. And I said, one hit wonder guaranteed. Elton John. Yeah, never listen to me. Never listen to my predictions. 3-year-old screams at bedtime for an hour. Do I ignore the full hour? Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. If they're 3 years old and they're screaming for a whole hour, that would imply it works. They just wouldn't do that. They would be more inclined to get up or, but yeah, I did a whole thing. Where was that? I did something the other day. Oh, it was in my newsletter. I did a whole bedtime thing, and then sign up for my newsletter. That's with my. You can get my behavior board without signing up, I think, but if you sign up, you'll get the newsletters. I went into great detail about bedtime battles. I'll do a video on that soon. It's just kind of a process, and it doesn't apply to everybody, so that's why I don't tend to like to go into that on these lives. We've been bribing my son lately. Now he seems to make it a habit. Well, no, he hasn't. You have. You made it a habit. How to change that? Don't blame him for that. That's you. So how do you change that? Just say, we're not going to do that anymore, and just stop doing it. It's going to be hard. Undoing that is going to be hard. But yeah, you'll eventually learn. How would you approach teaching a kid with a habit of lying? Put down no lying on the behavior board, and then put in brackets, we will decide when you're lying, because it leaves them, you don't want to leave it open for them to argue. Just say, I'm calling that a lie. I'm not discussing it any further. So yeah, and just have a consequence for lying. Call it what it is. It's lying. Just say no. Don't say don't not tell truths and all this political. Kids aren't like that. That's for parents, all that politically correct stuff. But just say it like it is. It's like when a kid does something stupid. Yeah, that was stupid. Here's the consequence. So like, big deal. They're not calling them stupid. The action's stupid. Just say it like it is. If my kids did something stupid, I would have said, that was stupid. And they go, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Big deal. Have a sense of humor. Lighten up, but deal with stuff, though. But then every time I told my kids what they did was stupid, if they did, I had a story, because I've done a lot of dumb things myself. So I always had a story about dumb things I've done. Had a lot of those stories. It got to the point I'd say, well, that was stupid. And my kids say, what stupid thing did you do, Mommy? Oh, geez, which one should I choose from? There's so many. So it's okay to do dumb things. It's okay. But you got to be accountable for them. How do I make my 21-month-old eat vegetables? I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't really discuss that, but I do talk about what I did with my kids. I'm into healthy food, not junk food, so we had none in the house. So my kids knew they were either going to get this healthy food or that healthy food. There was no snacks waiting in the rafters. There was no ice cream or chips or anything in our house. So our kids just got used to eating healthy food because that was the only option they had. That's how I got them to eat vegetables. So. But yeah, if they know that there's ice cream sitting in the freezer, how likely are they to eat broccoli, Yeah, this one's a bit of a layered one. It could be like a half-hour speech. Teach kid to be nice. Kid complain, others treat them not nice. How to deal. Okay, so you're teaching your kids to be nice, but other kids are mean to them. Welcome to life. There's a fine line there, though. Like, you can be nice, but not a pushover. So you can be nice, and you can still stand up for yourself. So there's a fine line. Like, neither of my kids had a mean bone in their body. Like, I wasn't mean either. I didn't have that mean streak. But some kids just do. They just naturally have a mean streak in them. And you're going to come up against people like that in the world. That's just the way it is. We all know a snarky adult. I don't have any in my life anymore. I've eliminated them all. Because you get old, you can do that. But yeah, there's just some people are going to be mean, and that's okay. But you can sort of manage them and say, well, that wasn't very nice. So there's certain things that you can say. That wasn't very nice. It puts it right back on them. So if they're not nice, well, that was mean. Like I've never been bullied, and I'm not tough. But neither were my kids. They weren't bullied, but we're pretty good at managing people. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm hesitating here because there's so many different stories I could tell about that. Kids who've learned to manage themselves. I'll just talk about bullying. I'll tell you my bullying story. I was never bullied, but one time this bully came at me. I was in grade 2, he was in grade 5, and I'd gone to the bathroom in the middle of class, and I was in the hallway all by myself. And so was he. He's coming out of the principal's office, obviously. It's always in there. I think he lived in there. Anyway, and he saw me, and I was all alone, and we were just walking down the hall towards each other, and I thought, oh, God, no. And I had to go past him. I couldn't avoid him. So to get back to my class, he came right in my face, and my maiden name was Hanky. And he looked me right in the face, and he goes, Hanky Panky. And I was grade 2, and I looked up at him, and I said, I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle. Oh, well, got to get back to class. He never came near me again. So I use humor. Humor has always been my thing. Like, I just use humor. And but I taught my kids what you do is you agree with the bully so that they don't get defensive, and then you defer. You change the subject. It gives them an out. If I hadn't said I got to get back to class, he would have come at me again. I don't even know how I came up with that, but no one ever came at me after that, because they always knew that it wasn't going to bother me, basically. So, but yeah, I was shaken, I'll tell you. If I hadn't just gone pee, I probably would have wet my pants. He was big. He was big too. He was a big, scary kid. So yeah, you got to teach them how to manage people. But you do that by role playing. You role play at home, because it's one thing to tell a kid what to say and do, but it's quite another to show them and then have them practice it. Because if they've practiced coming up against a bully, you be the bully and then you switch roles, they be the bully, you go back and forth. When they've practiced saying such things, like if someone says, oh, you're ugly, say, yeah, it runs in the family, we're all ugly. Anyway, what are you having for lunch? You see stuff like that, be flippant about it. They can't just come up with that unless they've practiced it with you. Have fun with it. Doesn't have to be serious. You can have fun with it. Also, when you're doing bullying role playing, never role play with a truth. Like if your kid has ears that stick out and that's what other kids are teasing them about, don't use that for the role playing. Wear a silly hat, put an apron around your neck or something, do something silly and tease that item. Tease the silly hat, tease the, like put lipstick on their cheeks or something and tease them about that. So don't tease them about something that they're normally teased about. So yeah, role playing is what we always do with bullying, and how to manage people. I remember years ago, there was someone in my life, and they were just the type. Why would you do that, Lisa? Oh, Lisa, why would you always making me defensive about everything? But I didn't clue in at first because this person came across as really nice, and then I realized, oh, passive aggressive bitch. Anyway, hope there's no kids watching. But anyway, once I clued into that, I thought, how am I going to manage this person? And because I saw them all the time. So anyway, one day she said to me, she goes, why would you do that? And I said, crazy Lisa. I just came up with it one day, and she literally went like this. Like it threw her off. And she just stopped doing that passive aggressive crap. So yeah, I always use humor and it works. But yeah, got her out of my life as soon as possible. Yeah, people management skills. That's, I never really had a problem with that, but humor was my thing. And the thing is that not everyone, I was raised in a very funny family. So humor was just that's how we related to each other. So, but it doesn't come naturally to everybody. So we find other ways, right? You don't have to be funny to handle a bully. Oh, can you teach an 18-month-old how to process emotions? If so, how? No, you can't. No, it happens organically. There's no way of going into someone's brain and twisting their emotions to regulate them. It's just crap. I know it's trendy right now. It's absolute garbage. It happens organically. The calmer you are and you're a good leader, they are better at regulating their emotions. It tends to calm them down. Kids who are highly sensitive rarely have a leader because leaders tend to make kids feel safe and calm. So work on your leadership skills. That's what it's all about. But yeah, you can't teach an 18-month-old. No, absolutely not. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Their brains are like one marble and some tumbleweed in there. They can't reason. It's just, I did a video yesterday, I think. Yeah, my kids, someone said, it threw me off because it was a comment on YouTube, I think. And they said, and they went on about what victims they were of their kids. They don't care about our feelings. They keep hurting our feelings. It was all this woe is me stuff. And I thought, kids don't give a crap about your feelings. Like basically, they care about their own feelings first. They do love you, but kids are narcissistic naturally. You don't expect them to stop and think about your feelings. Like I just thought that was so, I didn't even know I don't even think I answered it on YouTube. I didn't know what to say to that because it was so, I'd never heard that before. Yeah, kids do. I guess they can care about them, but they care about their own first because they're narcissistic, because they're children. They're growing, they're forming, they're becoming human beings, they're becoming people, they're learning about the world. So they relate to everything on how it relates to them, not about other people. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I just did that video yesterday. I don't think it was a very good video. I didn't really like it, but it was okay. My favorite video was that one about if you what you focus, the more you talk about bad behavior, the more they're going to do it. Absolutely. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy with your children is what grows. If you're a fun friend with your kids, that grows. If you're always telling them how bad they are, they will be bad. Okay? That's why I deal with bad behavior fast, and then it's right back to fun again. And that's who they become. You want your children to like themselves. If you're the source of that, they're going to want to please you. You lead, they will follow. Children naturally need, crave, and want a leader. If you don't provide that for them, they're going to be very vulnerable out there in the world, right through the teen years, because they desperately need, crave, and want a leader. They just do. It's an instinct. Okay, they're children. They need that. If you don't do that for them, they're going to be very susceptible to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to be extremely vulnerable out there in the world. But if they have a leader at home, a safe place to land they can tell anything to right through the teen years, they're not vulnerable at all. It gives them a lot of strength in the world. My son used to say, I could never get in trouble because you were always sitting right here. No, I wasn't. That was your conscience. But yeah. No, something funny he said. He doesn't remember saying any of this stuff, but I remember it really clearly. He's 33 now, but he was telling me this funny, he was having this conversation with some student, and the student said to him, would you ever break the law? And my son said, he says, no, because I'd be terrified my mom would get to me before the police would. I never even did anything, but that was respect, right? Darn straight. I would get there before the police could. The Kardashians, yeah. Not that they're that bad, to be honest. Their value system is a little bit off what I would want my kids to have, but all the looks and all that stuff. But they seem like they're good people. You know, what show was it? The Osbournes. Um, they're crazy people, right? I think they had the very first reality show ever out there, and they were such a dysfunctional family. But talk about a lot of love. Like they had a lot of love in that family, and that's what came across. So there was a ton of, and I think with the Kardashians too, there's a lot of love in there. There are some reality shows you think there's nothing but hate, but the Osbournes, you could just see they were all crazy about each other. I thought it was a hilarious show. Okay, I got to get going. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Go on the link above if you want to hire me, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. It's all there. And I'll be talking to you again tomorrow. Bye now.